Britain's hidden role in the Gaza genocide exposed. Now, we know, most people will know on the show too, that the UK is part of the US empire, is the inner core of the US empire, and that is directly funding or involved in the Gaza genocide. We know that, but these are documents that actually show us, right? They actually show us the proof. So can you expand on what you found?
Yeah, we have a bomb this week, a bomb. So for those who aren't in Britain, we have a very relevant, why it's not sharing my screen? Oh, no, it's just delayed. So Declassified UK dropped a bomb. They obtain, as you see, documents revealing how the UK company has sent over 1,000 ammunition cases to Israel to put bullets on the head of Palestinian, probably most of them children. What you've seen here, of course, the British press is making sure this news is suppressed. I think that's the first news we have, is the suppression of such a bombastic news. Why is this so bombastic? We all know about this. No. One thing is to imagine in the other word, and the other is to have the names of the companies. And if you are providing weapons to a genocide, you are a direct participant of the genocide. And this is especially damning because the UK government, Keir Starmer, the prime minister who is now in Rio to the COP30 laughing and trying to suck up William's ass, he did not say something else. So the UK government claims it has suspended all license for military exports because of the massive pressure of the British society, who is going to the streets without stopping since the escalation of the genocide for the past 2 years. We have seen 500,000 people after the supposed truce that Trump broke, coming right after the same week, 500,000 people in the UK saying this was a fraud, we want a Palestine state. So in response to that, Keir Starmer pretended that he suspended all licenses for military exports to Israel that could violate international law. But of course, these shipments, they kept flowing right through April 2015. That's what the report shows. So Keir Starmer's lies. Keir Starmer is a Zionist liar. He has launched an unprecedented chase on British journalists. Ileana, I had studied the data of the Home Office in the UK of arrest under terrorist law. Keir Starmer comes to power, all arrests just peak. So Keir Starmer is raging a war on journalists, calling them terrorists that not even the conservatives have dreamed about. So I think this exposes two things. Expose Britain as direct actor in the Palestinian genocide, and this exposed their limitless. You talk about the limitless budget of the US. I'll talk about the limitless hypocrisy of British elites. I haven't seen such a hypocrite, I would say, society in many ways. So the components like ammunition, containers, they aren't technically weapons. Okay, so they slip through the regulations. That it's intentional, so while they are complying with international law, they're killing Palestinians with their weapons. So it's very interesting. I'll give you a little bit of more information here. It's a British engineering firm called Permoid Industries, has shipped over 1,000 ammunition containers to Israel. Israel's largest weapon manufacturer, LB Systems, since October 2022. This was revealed by British journalist John McAvoy of Declassified UK. This puts Britain right in the middle of Gaza genocide, a direct involvement with weapon supply. This And the report says that these containers are specifically designed to hold artillery shells, mortars, all the ammunition that are being used by the Israeli Defense Forces, occupation forces, to kill Palestinians. So, and it's also interesting because this report shows how Elbit supplies up to 85% of IDF's land-based military equipment. So we're not talking about any company. We are talking the main supplier to Israeli occupied forces. So Elbit is nothing but just a proxy of communication between Britain and the IDF.
Yeah, and I think
do you get the equation? If
and
you
we
have
also
the main supplier, the IDF, land-based military equipment being supplied by Britain, this tells a story. So this is the direct pipeline of Britain-made components to fuel wars, while Keir Starmer is lying to our faces that he's not a complicit in genocide.
Yeah, and also we should give the context. We should also give the context. Sorry, there's a delay, so we're having difficulty. But we should give the context that Elbit is the arms manufacturing company that PAL Action was doing direct action against quite successfully, which resulted in them being prescribed as a terrorist organization. So they're still facing trial right now, ongoing. Huda Omari, who I also did interview in my previous podcast. But so I think that is actually going to be reversed, the prescription of PAL Action as a terrorist group. I don't know that, I think they won their last trial, which was a few weeks ago, but I think they have one more to go or something. But we should definitely update on that. So sorry, I don't actually have the updated information.
Palestine Action being classified as terrorist. Very interesting, the role. So it seems that Elbit is far more than just a pipeline, like a simple pipeline. It's also ideologically meddling in British politics against Britain's people will.
Yeah, because
Keir Starmer.
Yeah, because not only did they got prescribed because of Elbit. So it wasn't just, like you're saying, they actually got prescribed. So they have direct connection with the British judicial system, or whatever it is, that brings up charges.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. We need to investigate that. So they're even meddling in the judicial system. That's even worse than meddling just in politics. And you know what, Ileana, Declassified UK, the exact same, has been investigating the infiltration of Zionism in British politics. Yeah, so they have, of course, they are being suppressed by no one in the, let's say, mass media. I don't know how to call them at this point, representatives of the British state, and they want to talk about free press in Britain. I think this is laughable. So Declassified UK exposed far much more. Exposed like the extensive funding ties between Israel lobby, the Embassy of Israel, and the Labour Party. Yes. So they reveal, for instance, that Starmer, along with his cabinet, including Deputy PM Angela Ryan, oh, what a surprise, Chancellor Rachel Cooper, oh, what a surprise, they have received financial backing from pro-Israel groups or individuals, and we are talking about these funds, they come through the so-called lobby. It's very strange to have a country lobbying within the parliament of another one, electing prime minister's elections, right? Putting money on prime minister's election. I would call this espionage, or intervention, illegal intervention.
That's why we have to point out again that it's not separate. Israel is part of the Six Eyes, what is unofficially called the Six Eyes. Five Eyes, remember, is an open intelligence sharing between Canada, US, the UK, New Zealand, and Australia. And it's actually expanded to unofficial Six Eyes because the US has unilaterally sort of taken in Israel. They have a special relationship with Israel, right? I.e., as we talked about, Israel is part of the US empire. So it's Six Eyes. So yes, now it's really, I think it was unofficial. Now it's more official as they are gathering closer. So it makes sense. Do you know what I mean? This is why they have outsized power. They're not just a foreign entity. They're part of the inner core of empire. So, we have to remember that.
And the front side. Wow. Yeah, so it's very impressive, because through this lobby that they call Labor Friends of Israel, LFI, it's very opaquely funded, been funding parliamentary groups. So they sponsored, declassified case show that they sponsor over 240-page trips to Israel for politicians in fact-finding missions. So collectively, those trips were £500,000. It seems, well, this is what they disclosed. And in the last parliament, 41 Labour MPs accepted funding for pro-Israel sources. Who are they governing for? Are they governing for those Israeli interests that pay their way into the parliament, or are they for those who vote them? So while pro-Israel businessman Stuart Rawdon donated over £500,000 to Labour ahead of summer elections. So we have a pro-Israel businessman putting £500,000 that we know of in Keir Starmer's election. Keir Starmer is a Zionist, and he is accomplishing everything that he's told to. He's a lapdog of the US. He's a lapdog of Zionism. He is a zilt. And it's impressive because he has no political charisma that you could say, well, that could justify something. He has no public support, and yet he's in power household. Well, it's the dirty trick they played in the elections, and we are going to talk about this at some point.
Yeah, we definitely should be covering more about this, I guess. We will next week.
It's very interesting because I used to work for the British government when Starmer was elected. Everyone was applauding. I mean, it just needed to be a standing ovations. My deputy director sending an email cheering the renewal of power. It was so obvious that the entire civil service was applauding a Labour which is tamed, a Labour Party which does not represent the people of Britain, a Labour Party that is polished, measured, hypocrite. It was really impressive to see that civil servants were so free. Otherwise they don't display their preference, but when Starmer won, people need almost to put a t-shirt with his picture. It was so obvious, the support for Starmer, the stigmatization of the real Labour Party, like with people such as Jeremy Corbyn, John McDowell. So they want this, let's say, spokesmen of Israel ruling their own country. I thought it was shocking how the amount of emails we received during my time in the government legal department celebrating openly, obviously, I wouldn't say openly, but very obviously, British are very subtle. I don't think they were that too subtle on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should move on to the last of our stories, because it is still very much connected to this one in terms of the blatantness, sorry, I can't speak, of Israel right now. As we said before, like, the ethical mosque of Israel is completely destroyed, and only a few very, very brainwashed people still believe in the project of Zionism.